Here are the top stories for today, November 1st, 2021. Remembering the dead, President Rodrigo Duterte offers prayers to those who died of COVID-19 as Filipinos pay tribute to their dearly departed in commemoration of Undas. Merrier holiday scene, the OCTA research says the numbers on the COVID-19 situation continues to improve, backing the safe reopening and operations of businesses to spur economic recovery. Jabs, jabs, and more jabs. The country gets another 2 million doses of the American-made Pfizer vaccine, intensifying further its vaccination efforts, which will soon include the younger population. And ensuring safe commute, the PNP Highway Patrol Group is set to assist the pilot run of the increased public transport capacity in Metro Manila and nearby areas, which starts on November 4. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte has joined the Catholic faithful in commemorating All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. In a statement, President Duterte asked the Filipinos to pray for each other, especially during the pandemic. He said this occasion offers us a time to reflect and be grateful for the gift of life and limb to save more lives and keep us safe. Igorot people are said to put great importance on their dead as death rituals become one of their largest and most elaborate customs. Did you know that some Ibaloy and Kankanaey tribe members still live with their dead relatives in their homes?
In La Trinidad, Benguet, some dead are being buried in the backyard or inside the house. Marcel Tainan Tagel, a resident of Barangay Ambiong and native of Kabayan, which is known for mummies, said this is being practiced in their community as their relatives believes that this serves as an assurance that the property they will leave behind will not be sold by their children. She said she has relatives who have prepared their graveyard inside their homes, ready when their time comes. Orna Familan Tumilang, who comes from the Kankanaey and Kalungaya tribe in Benguet, said that they also live with their grandfather, whose grave is at one side facing the middle of the entire property. This is despite his grandfather establishing a family cemetery and another property at Barangay Lubas, where his great-grandparents and other relatives have been entombed. She said their grandfather, who died in January last year, identified his place of resting as he wanted to still see them when they are having fun. Former Benguet Congressman Nestor Fongwan, who died in December 2019 after winning the congressional race, was also buried at the family residence compound. His daughter Marie Rose Fongwan Kepes said it was her father's wish to be buried there. She said that if the one who died is an elder, strict observance of the culture is expected. Natives in Benguet have a distinct culture when it comes to the transferring of the remains of a loved one, as this requires the butchering of several animals known as kanyao. Expenses do not end after burial because the dream of a family member about the loved one who passed away also requires the butchering of animals. When the dead makes his presence through dreams saying that he feels cold or there is something that is hurting, the body is exhumed and a ritual is done while there is a kanyao and the butchering of more pigs. As time goes by, only those who reside in rural areas strictly observe the tradition. But for others, their tradition slowly alters due to modernization and change of mindset, not to mention financial issues. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muaje.
OCTA Research Group fellow Dr. Guido David says it is safe for the National Capital Region to reopen the economy, especially with a continuous decline in the daily COVID-19 attack rate in most cities. In an interview at the Laging Handa briefing, David said the NCR's positivity rate has decreased to 5%, which is an acceptable rate for the World Health Organization. Moreover, Metro Manila's average daily attack rate remains under the moderate risk level.
Dahil bumaba yung positivity rate natin all the way from 25% nung peak ng surge to 5% now. Ibig sabihin, hindi factor yung or hindi malaking factor yung yung kakulangan na sa testing. In fact, we have enough testing right now. But based sa aming pagbasa ng datos ay it's actually safe to reopen our businesses at this time.
Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion is pushing for Alert Level 2 in the National Capital Region starting November 15. In an interview with One News, Concepcion stressed that the government may gain up to 3.6 billion pesos per week and recover 16,000 jobs by placing NCR under the Alert Level 2. This is because outdoor businesses with safety seals will be able to operate up to 80%, which is 30% more than the current allowed capacity under Alert Level 3. Concepcion also mentioned the government's ramped-up vaccination drive. He said there is no need to fear even if cases go up as more and more people are getting vaccinated and protected against the dreaded disease. Metro Manila is already inching its way to achieving 90% of the eligible population. As travel restrictions continue to ease up, the Department of Tourism encourages more tourists to visit their destination of choice by providing a full subsidy on RT-PCR testing. Starting today, the Tourism Promotions Board would roll out the fully subsidized RT-PCR tests at the Philippine Children's Medical Center. Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat said the free swab testing helps ensure the safety of tourists, tourism workers, and local stakeholders in various destinations. Legitimate franchise holders and drivers of public utility jeepneys will be able to get their fuel subsidy from the government through their Pantawid Pasada cards. LTFRB Chair Martin Delgra said they are already coordinating with the Department of Energy for the subsidy rollout in participating oil companies.
Meron pong inapruba na pagre-release ng pondo na 1 billion pesos for the fuel subsidy. This is pursuant to the train law kung saan meron pong provision doon na mabibigyang ayuda by way of a fuel subsidy grant para doon sa PUJ.
As for the fare hike petition of various groups, Delgra said it would not be possible at the moment as more people will be affected.
Mas marami pa po ang matatamaan at maapektuhan pag itataas natin yung pamasahe. Kaya maganda po itong lumabas na fuel subsidy program, malaki po yung pondo na in-approve, no? 1 billion pesos para matugunan yung hiling ng mga transport group na yung pagtaas ng presyo sa crudo matugunan din, and without having to disadvantage yung commuting public.
Delgar also explained that the government has already increased the passenger capacity for public road-based and rail transport in Metro Manila and nearby provinces.
Magsisimula po ito sa November 4, yung pagtaas ng seating capacity from 50% to 70%. Ito po ay aprobado na for road-based public transport na mga bus, mga jeep, UV Express, no? As well as sa ating mga tren. Inaayos na po natin yung mga preparasyon, kasama na po yung konsultasyon sa ating mga public transport operators and drivers para maikasa at maipa-prepare po natin na maayos sa pagsisimula ng pagtaas ng passenger capacity na ito. Magsisimula pa ito sa Metro Manila muna, and then eventually we will determine and approve the increase in passenger capacity sa ibang rehiyon ng bansa po.
Several lawmakers are also finding ways to help the transportation sector recover. Deputy Speaker Rufus Rodriguez filed House Bill number 10246, which proposes to temporarily suspend the collection of excise taxes on fuel products until the country has fully recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. Rodriguez said once the suspension takes effect, the government would collect excise levies on oil products based on the old rates contained in the National Internal Revenue Code or before the train law. For Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera, either suspending or trimming the excise tax on petroleum amid rising pump prices would be economically disastrous, as there is no international oil crisis now nor expected in the months ahead. She said instead of shaving part of the excise tax on petroleum, the more prudent solution is a combination of fixes that improve supply flows, increased local buffer stocks, remove custom fees and hauling charges, and issues purchase discount vouchers to the poor and low-income consumers. Meanwhile, Representative Ronnie Ong filed House Resolution 2322 urging the IATF to increase the passenger capacity of tricycles. Ong said the one tricycle, one passenger rule was the policy at the height of the ECQ last year, but with the recent implementation of the alert level system, there are no clear uniform and delineated guidelines on the operation of tricycles. Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said the vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 will start once local authorities have completed the necessary assessments and safety protocols. This after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the emergency use of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children aged 5 to 11 in their country. Galvez said the Food and Drug Administration may announce its decision by December as soon as it receives the application of Pfizer. Meanwhile, Galvez thanked the U.S. government for its latest donation of 2.98 million vaccine doses that will benefit more than 1 million people. The latest Pfizer shipment arrived in the country last night. Heather Variava, U.S. Embassy Manila Chargé d'Affaires, said the donation can help the Philippines quickly recover from the pandemic. She said the latest shipment brings to more than 20 million the vaccine doses donated by the United States through COVAX to the Philippines, while the total number of the COVAX facility donated vaccine doses to the Philippines is now at 28 million. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 is optimistic of reaching population protection this year, with over 27 million Filipinos now fully vaccinated against the coronavirus.
Over 27 million Filipinos are now fully protected against coronavirus infections. Based on the National COVID-19 Vaccination Dashboard, the Philippines has already administered 59 million doses nationwide. 31.8 million doses were given as first shots and 27.2 million were used as second doses. The country's average daily vaccination rate in the last 7 days stood at 518,294 doses. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Special Medical Advisor Dr. Ted Herbosa is confident that the country will achieve population protection this year. Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. earlier said the government targets to increase the average daily jabs administered to up to 1.5 million doses to reach its goal of protecting at least 50 million Filipinos by year-end. Herbosa said based on standards, population protection can be achieved by inoculating at least 50% of the population. Herbosa said the country is expecting 40 million vaccine doses from November to December. However, the prioritization of delivery also depends on how fast local government units act on their vaccination efforts. Meanwhile, an infectious disease expert said the administration of boosters would be worth it only when the general population has been vaccinated against COVID-19. Dr. Edsel Salvania, a member of the Department of Health Technical Advisory Group, emphasized that primary COVID-19 vaccination continues to be effective for preventing severe disease and death beyond 6 months. If vaccine doses are diverted to be used as boosters, there will be more hospitalization among the unvaccinated. Sylvania added Filipinos would benefit more from the government's vaccination program by using the current stocks of COVID-19 doses to inoculate as many people as possible before giving additional jabs to the vaccinated. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
Still to come, government and media workers can file applications for local absentee voting until March 7, 2022. And the PNP Highway Patrol Group gears up for the increase in public transport capacity starting this week. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ako po si Sergeant Munoz ng Philippine Air Force para sa kampanya na Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Proud po akong sabihin na bakunado na ako laban sa COVID-19. Kaya naman po panatag ang aking kalooban dahil alam ko na protektado ako at ang aking pamilya laban sa coronavirus. Bida ang may disiplina. Kaya naman magparehistro at magpabakuna na para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Ang disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado. Kaya tayo na po't magparehistro at magpabakuna para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bansa. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Workers who would not be able to vote in the May 9, 2022 polls can file their applications for local absentee voting until March 7 next year. The Commission on Elections said government workers may submit their application forms before their immediate superiors. Media workers can submit their applications before the Office of the Regional Election Director for those in the National Capital Region, Office of the City Election Officer outside NCR, or offices of the Provincial Election Supervisor for other areas. For freelance journalists hired for election coverage, they must present a certification under oath stating that they have valid assignments from a bona fide media organization. Online publishers are required to present certifications under oath stating that they are gathering and distributing online election content, including the URL of their online publication or blog. Local absentee voters are allowed to vote any day from April 27 to 29, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meanwhile, aspirants for national and local positions have until the first week of November to file corrections to their names for the May 2022 polls. Requests for the correction of names to appear on the ballot may be filed until November 8. The deadline for the substitution of an official candidate who withdrew, died, or was disqualified to file a certificate of candidacy is on November 15. The extended voters registration has ended on October 30. The PNP Highway Patrol Group has been directed to assist and coordinate with the Department of Transportation regarding the 30-day pilot study on the gradual increase in passenger capacity in public transport. The Interagency Task Force approved the increase in the capacity of public utility vehicles and railways from 50% to 70% in Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal starting November 4. Philippine National Police Chief General Guillermo Eleazar said part of the HPG's assistance is to ensure that minimum health standards are strictly observed by commuters. Eleazar said the pilot study would determine if public transportation could already resume full operations amid the pandemic. The PNP chief reminded commuters to continue observing the health protocols to prevent the spread of the virus in public utility vehicles. Congress has set aside 7.8 billion pesos in the 2022 national budget for feeding programs that will benefit over 3.6 million undernourished children. The budget allocation comes in time for the observance of November as National Children's Month. The Department of Social Welfare and Development is getting 4.2 billion pesos to provide meals and milk to 1.9 million children aged 2 to 5 years of age. The Department of Education, or DepEd, is receiving 3.3 billion pesos to supply nutritious food and fresh milk to 1.7 million learners from kindergarten to grade 6. The Department of Health, meanwhile, has 250 million pesos for infants aged 6 to 23 months, as well as breastfeeding mothers. The National Nutrition Council likewise has 139 million pesos for its early childhood care and development in the first 1,000 days program. Anak Kalusugan Representative Michael Defensor said lawmakers are counting on the government's targeted feeding programs to help improve the health of children from poverty-stricken families. The Department of Labor and Employment cautioned Filipinos seeking overseas employment to be wary of job offers online, particularly those offered recently from Spain. The Philippine Overseas Labor Office in Madrid received a request to verify an online job offer for a fruit farm cashier position with a salary of about 175,000 to 350,000 pesos. Polo Madrid Labor Attaché Joan Lourdes Lavilla advised job seekers to be careful in entertaining openings abroad that sound too good to be true. She said scammers use names of legitimate companies and only give mobile numbers as they do not have actual offices. Another sign of a scam is when an applicant is required to send money. Job seekers may visit the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration website to verify the legitimacy of job offers. Lavilla also informed of the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions in Spain, allowing more workers to go back to or seek employment. She said Spaniards prefer Filipinos because they can speak and understand the English language. More stories from the newsroom. The PNP heightens its alert to curb retaliation from the communist movement following the death of one of its top leaders. And vaccination for younger children in the U.S. will roll out soon as FDA approves the emergency use of Pfizer jabs for kids 5 to 11 years old. Back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Kung customer ka, pupuntahan mo ba yung mukhang safe naman o yung certified na safe? Ang safety seal ay patunay na certified safe ang iyong business dahil nasusunod ang minimum public health standards. Meron din itong QR code para mapadali ang contact tracing. Ito ay libre lang. Pero, kailangang i-renew every 6 months or every year kung nasa tourism sector ang iyong business. Kung meron ka ng mga documents na ito, pwede ka na mag-apply para sa Safety Seal Certification. May iba-ibang office para sa iba't ibang klase ng mga negosyo. Pag na-determine nyo na ang issuing authority, simple lang ang steps para makuha ang safety seal. Pumunta sa office ng issuing authority o sa kanilang website. Kumuha ng safety seal checklist at magsagawa ng self-assessment para sa iyong business. I-submit ang checklist at abangan ang inspection schedule. Pag na-approve ang application, bibigyan kayo ng safety seal sticker. Pag hindi naman na-approve, sasabihin kung anong health standard ang hindi nasunod at bibigyan kayo ng pagkakataong ayusin ito. Pag nakuha na ang safety seal, ipaskil ito sa may entrance para makita agad ng mga customer. Pwede nyo rin ipagmalaki na certified safe kayo sa inyong mga social media pages. Paalala lamang, ang isang safety seal ay para sa isang branch lang. Siguraduhin bawat branch mo ay certified safe. Siguraduhin din na nasusunod palagi ang minimum public health standards dahil baka mabawi ang iyong certification. Maaring mag-operate kahit na walang safety seal. Pero hindi ba mas mahalagang kampante ang mga customer sa loob ng iyong negosyo? kaya kumuha na ng safety seal para ingat-angat tayong lahat.
Government forces have neutralized New People's Army leader George Madlos in an encounter in Bukidnon. Military leaders said his death has put an end to his atrocities that may lead to the further collapse of the NPA in Mindanao. Marita Mawahe has the story.
The Army's 4th Infantry Division has ended the reign of terror of Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army leader George Madlos alias Caoris. Madlos was killed in an encounter in Impasugong, Bukidnon on Saturday. The 403rd Infantry Brigade launched operations after residents of Sitio Gabunan in Barangay Dumalaging reported that suspected NPA members were conducting indoctrination in the area. Following a series of airstrikes and sweeping of anti-personnel mines, joint forces assaulted the communist terrorists, leading to the death of Madlos and a medic. Madlos, the most wanted NPA commander in Mindanao, is a spokesperson of the National Democratic Front and the Kumiting Mindanao National Operations Command. He faced multiple criminal cases such as robbery with homicide, damage to properties, murder, and double frustrated murder. Major General Romeo Browner Jr., commander of the 4ID, lauded the troops for the neutralization of the two rebels and the courage of the civilians who provided information. He said that with Madlos' death, justice has been served for the communities he terrorized for several decades. The Eastern Mindanao Command also commended all units under Commander Lieutenant General Greg Almerol for their successful operations that resulted in the death of Madlos. In a statement, the East Mincom said their hard work and cooperation paved the way to the neutralization of the high-ranking CTG leaders, including Caoris. It said Madlos' death serves as a main deterrent against communist terrorist atrocities in eastern Mindanao, and his loss is bound to cause the CTG forces into splinters. Following the death of Caoris, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is setting its sight on his wife, also a ranking official of the CPP-NPA and the highest officer in Caraga. Browner appealed to Mirna Solarte alias Maria Malaya to surrender or suffer the same fate as her 72-year-old husband. Browner said Solarte wields control over the Northeastern Mindanao Committee in Caraga and conducts extortion activities. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muaje.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, is now on heightened alert against possible retaliatory attacks from the New People's Army following the death of communist leader George Caoris Madlos. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar hailed the military's effective operations that led to the neutralization of Madlos, the commander and spokesman of the NPA National Operations Command, last October 30. He expressed solidarity with the armed forces of the Philippines in curbing the lawless activities and atrocities of the communist rebels. Madlos was killed along with an NPA medic in Sitio Gabunan, Barangay Dumalaging, Impasugong town in an encounter with combined troops from the 8th and 88th Infantry Battalions and 1st Special Forces Battalion. The Presidential Task Force on Media Security is in close coordination with the police to attain justice for journalist Orlando Dinoy, who was gunned down in Davao del Sur on Saturday night. PTFOM's Executive Director Undersecretary Joel C. Egco offered his condolences to the family of Dinoy, a reporter of Davao City-based Newsline Philippines and volunteer anchor of Energy FM in Digos City. PTFOM's chief said he is in contact with Brigadier General Fillmore Escobal, Director of the Police Regional Office 11. Egco said Malacanang also condemned the slay. He reminded media workers to call the PT FOMs whenever they feel threatened in any way. Media outlets on Sunday meanwhile expressed grief over the brutal killing as the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Davao, demanded a speedy investigation. Meanwhile, PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar also ordered the local police to thoroughly investigate the killing of Dinoy. Eleazar said he has ordered the Regional Director of Police Regional Office 11 to investigate to determine who is the brains behind the killing. He also vowed to protect all members of the media from any form of attack and harassment, as he urged them to immediately report to authorities if they are under threat. Dinoy was gunned down by a still unidentified suspect in his apartment in Poblacion 1, Bansalan. In news overseas, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine in children 5 through 11 years old. The authorization was based on the FDA's evaluation of the data that included input from experts who overwhelmingly voted in favor of making the vaccine available to children in this age group. The FDA advisors believed the benefits of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine outweigh its risks for use in this younger group. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for children ages 5 to 11 is administered as a 2-dose primary series, 3 weeks apart but at a lower dose. It is the first COVID-19 vaccine approved for emergency use in the United States for children ages 5 to 11. The City Tourism Office of Alaminos, Pangasinan is hoping for increased tourist arrivals as the province shifts today, November 1st, to modified general community quarantine. City Tourism Officer Miguel Sison said the tourist arrivals at the famous 100 Islands National Park are averaging at 100 to 200 visitors daily on the 3rd and 4th week of October, most of which are local tourists. Season said as Pangasinan reverts to MGCQ, tourist travel from other provinces, even those under higher quarantine classification, will be allowed. All tourists from outside Pangasinan have to register to tarana.ph and SPass. Those from Alert Level 3 areas must present a negative RT-PCR test, a rapid antigen test taken 72 hours before traveling, or their vaccination card. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Remembering the dead, President Rodrigo Duterte offers prayers to those who died of COVID-19 as Filipinos pay tribute to their dearly departed in commemoration of Undas. Merrier holiday scene, the OCTA research says the numbers on the COVID-19 situation continues to improve, backing the safe reopening and operations of businesses to spur economic recovery. Jabs, jabs, and more jabs. The country gets another 2 million doses of the American-made Pfizer vaccine, intensifying further its vaccination efforts, which will soon include the younger population. And ensuring safe commute, the PNP Highway Patrol Group is set to assist the pilot run of the increased public transport capacity in Metro Manila and nearby areas, which starts on November 4. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies, Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 54 days more to go before Christmas Day. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.